The trial. The value of honesty.
In a small kingdom in the Middle Ages, where cobblestone streets echoed with the trotting of horses and church bells marked the rhythm of the day, there lived a man known for his honesty. His name was Lucas, a humble blacksmith with strong hands and a face tanned by the heat of the forge. From a young age, Lucas had learned from his father that honesty was the greatest of virtues, one that shone like polished steel in the midst of darkness. Lucas was loved by everyone in the village. With his skilled hands, he forged tools, horseshoes, and swords, and he was always willing to repair the villagers' old locks and padlocks without asking for anything in return. But he was not only appreciated for his work, his frank and honest character had made him a role model. He always told the truth, even if it was hard to hear, and he never took advantage of circumstances for his own benefit. In a world where corruption and deceit often prevailed, Lucas was a ray of hope. One day, however, Lucas's quiet life changed forever. A rumor was heard in the town square: an important man of the kingdom had been murdered, and justice was looking for the culprit. The real perpetrator of the crime was an influential nobleman, known for his cunning and evil ways, who, in order to protect himself, had hatched a plan. He needed someone to blame, a scapegoat, and Lucas, with his reputation as a righteous man, seemed the perfect choice to divert suspicion. Before Lucas could understand what was happening, he was arrested by the kingdom's soldiers. They took him to the dungeon, a dark, cold place where rats ran around the corners and the echo of the drops falling from the ceiling filled the air with a disturbing sound. In his cell, Lucas could barely sleep. He knew he had not committed the crime, but he also knew that the forces against him were powerful. The trial was scheduled for the next day, and everyone said he would not have a chance to defend himself. The judge of the kingdom, a man with a stern face and cold eyes, was known for being fair only when it suited him. Although he knew the truth, he had been bought by the real murderer. The trial was a farce from the beginning. False evidence was presented with great pomp, and witnesses, all of them bought or threatened, testified against Lucas with well-rehearsed lies. But the judge, in his eagerness to appear impartial, proposed a solution that he believed would leave the verdict in the hands of fate. Knowing your reputation as a just man, the judge said in a firm voice, "I am going to leave your fate in the hands of God. I will write on 2 separate pieces of paper the words guilty and innocent. You will choose one, and it will be Providence that decides your fate." Lucas, watching the judge's movements and his furtive glances at the nobles sitting at the top of the court, understood that it was all a trap. He knew that both papers would say guilty. If he chose one, his fate would be sealed. But Lucas was not only an honest man, he was also an intelligent and brave man. With his heart beating hard in his chest, Lucas looked the judge in the eyes. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a moment, as if searching within himself for the answer to a riddle that seemed to have no solution. He slowly opened his eyes and, with a slight smile on his lips, approached the table where the papers were. "Come on, choose now," shouted one of the guards, impatient. Lucas reached out his hand and took one of the papers. Without a second's hesitation, he quickly brought it to his mouth and swallowed it. Everyone in the courtroom gasped. A murmur of surprise ran through the courtroom. "What have you done?" the judge shouted, enraged. "How are we to know what your fate was?" Lucas calmly replied, "It's very simple. If we read the remaining paper, we'll know which one I swallowed." The crowd in the courtroom burst into laughter and cries of admiration. The judge, caught by his own deception, had no choice but to open the other paper, which, as everyone expected, said guilty. So, according to his own plan, Lucas was to be innocent. Reluctantly, and with his face red with anger, the judge ordered Lucas' release. Lucas walked out of the courtroom a hero. People cheered him for his wit and bravery. But as he walked home, he thought about what he had learned that day. It wasn't just about escaping an unjust conviction, it was something much deeper. Honesty, Lucas thought, is not always easy. Sometimes, being honest does not simply mean telling the truth, but also finding a way to face injustice with intelligence and courage. Lucas knew that, although he had deceived the judge in appearance, he had done so to defend his truth and his integrity. That night, The blacksmith sat by his forge, staring at the red embers and hot iron he had shaped so many times with his hands. All around him, the sound of hammers striking metal resonated in the air, giving him a sense of peace and comfort. He reflected on how life tests us in unexpected ways. Sometimes, trials come in the form of an unfair trial, other times in small, daily decisions that seem to be of no importance. Lucas decided that his experience should be shared with others, especially the young people of the village. He told them the story of his trial and explained that honesty is not only a virtue to display when everything is going well, but also a strength to be maintained even in the most difficult times. Honesty, Lucas said, is like the iron I forge in my forge. Sometimes it must be put through the most intense fire to acquire its true strength. If we protect our honesty with the same dedication with which a blacksmith works metal, it will always be strong and durable. The children and young people listened attentively. Lucas told them how, in his life, he had learned that honesty is not only about always telling the truth, but about being consistent with oneself, acting with integrity and not being carried away by what is easy or convenient. In this world, Lucas continued, there will be many times when being honest will seem like a difficult path. It might seem easier to take the shortcut, lie or be dishonest. But the truth always finds a way to come to light. It is like a seed that, even buried under tons of earth, always finds a way to germinate. The days passed, and Lucas's story spread throughout the kingdom. Many came to know him, not only as an honest blacksmith, but as a wise man who had known how to maintain his integrity in the midst of adversity. Lucas became a symbol of what it means to be truly honest, and his example inspired many to follow the same path. In the end, the reflection he left to all who listened to him was clear: honesty is a powerful virtue that not only benefits those who practice it, but also has the power to transform those around them. And although it may sometimes seem that being honest can bring difficulties, the truth always finds its way, illuminating even the darkest moments.
Welcome to our channel. All copyrights reserved. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and select the bell to be notified of new videos.